What's up, listeners? Another episode of Journey with Michael and Ryan. You've just got your smile. You've just got me, Michael, in the hot seat, but I have an amazing guest sitting in the hot seat today, Mr. Christopher Alan Moore. Welcome to the show.
What an intro, man.
Hey?
Thank you. It's so cool to be
I kept your middle name out just to surprise you for the actual event.
Yeah. I love it.
Brother, thank you so much for coming and gracing us with your presence, man. We arranged this dinner date just a few days ago, and I know Ryan's away. He's actually away for the next couple of nights just celebrating his anniversary, his first year anniversary. And so I was like, no, man, we have to have a chat on the podcast today. You've got some interesting stories, man. Even just the journey you've just been on. We've just touched on a little bit before we were jumping on air. And man, I'd love to just hear all about you. You're an interesting cat, and I think people want to know about interesting cats. That's what drives the listening ship.
Thanks, man. Yeah. This is the most incredible full circle moment, because just over a month ago, I was about to go on a little adventure to Christchurch. I'm a professional actor, is what I kind of am. I'm trained as that, and I do that a lot. It's not all I do, but that's what I was going to Christchurch to do. And just before I left, I came over to get a couple products from Ryan, and I was sitting on the floor right in front of this chair going, oh, Ryan, this relationship that I'm in and all these things that I'm feeling, and I'm ending this and doing this. And he was just the most amazing to talk to, because he was like, okay, tell me about it. No, really tell me about it, and really get into it. And I got so grounded in where I was at when I came in, going like, fuck, I'm about to go to Christchurch, just like not at all grounded. And I just talked to him for about, I don't know, maybe 45 minutes, got super grounded and was like, oh no, I'm good. I'm doing things for good reasons. And I actually like backed myself in that. I really believed myself for that. Just went home like, shit, here we go on the adventure. And then I've been back like 4 days, and here we are right here again.
You're back here in the same room.
Really cool.
Cool, man. Me going, cool, bro, tell me about that.
Yeah.
Beautiful, man. So tell us about the adventure down at Christchurch. I think it's a really cool place to start. So
cool.
You just alluded to you obviously ending a relationship and things like that, man. Like take us on that journey.
Yeah, all right. So Christchurch, man, where do you even start? I'll start somewhere and end up somewhere.
Oh, beautiful, man.
So I went to Christchurch I was performing in a kids theatre show, and I was performing my own solo theatre show that I've made, which is fucking cool. And it got a great reception down there. And it was, in my mind, it was like, oh, this is an easy gig. This is like, do my show, chill out for a little bit, make a kids theatre show, and then crack on and cruise back up. And then I got down there, did my show. That was pretty cool. And then the week after that, got into kids theatre rehearsals, and it was fucking hard. Really, really hard.
So you were directing the kids theatre show?
I was the performer, and the only performer in the kids theatre show. So you were
creating the theatre show for the kids?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, it was a show for like 4-year-olds about sports. A really cool co-papa, like helping 4-year-olds and 5-year-olds understand sports and rules, and how the games that you make up on your own, and you can't really play them when you're playing sports with rules, but they're both valuable, and kind of how to get your head around that. And it was so cool, man. It was like, oh, it's such a good investigation, but the making of it was so challenging. And then every night I was going home, a recently single guy, and it's not so much that I was single relationship wise, but I was single in my mind for the first time in a long time, and I got to see it finally, because I was in a relationship about 4 or 5 years ago that I never quite detached from, and then I got into a new one and was really attached in that. I let go of that just before I went down, and it hit me like a train. I was working on myself so much, because the relationship I was in up here was good.
Why'd you end it?
I ended it because I wasn't quite in it, and I couldn't quite figure out why. I wasn't like head over heels for this woman, although she's fantastic, and we do love each other. Whatever the fuck, like, that means. But I ended it because I was like, I keep kind of coming out of this and going back into it, and coming out and going back in, and so my process was, okay, this is so good, and she's willing to stay if I'm working on myself. So I worked through every fucking problem that I could find. I was like, is it something else that's trying to get me to run away from this good thing? So I processed all of those things. What's my relationship with my dad like? I do want to improve on that. With my mom, I do want to improve on that, ticking off all these things. And just before I left, I kind of ticked off the last big thing. I had this big revelation about, I feel really alone in my arts career, and I don't know if I'll find a way, and I don't know if I'll find people that will understand what I'm trying to do. And it hit me, and I was like, I'm clear. That was it. And then over the next 3 hours, I was at work, and I just went crazy. My head was just spinning faster than it's ever spun, which is fast. And then I got to close to the end of my shift, and one of my good friends was there, and he just came to hang out because he knew I wasn't doing so good. And I went over to him, and I just crumbled. About 8:30, I work in a burger shop, and like still some customers around, and I just flopped on him, and it came out. I kind of said it before I thought it. I just want my relationship to work. I just cried for half an hour, and he goes, yeah, I know. He's my barber, so he knows. And it just knew. I was like, I don't even know what the actual thing is, but I know that it's not working, and I know that I have to end it. And I've never done something like that where I've been clear, but not for a real logical reason. Like, I just know. And I went and did it. I was going to go pick her up because we were going to do a road trip down south, and then she was going to fly home. So I went to pick her up, and instead of the road trip, I was like, heart beating real fast. Why is your heart beating so fast? Then she looked at me, she was like, oh no. And then she was furious, rightfully so. And then we had the best chat. And she was like, okay.
That's integrity, brother.
Thank you.
That's absolute integrity.
That was the hardest thing I think I've done, actually.
100%. Because you love yourself, you love this other woman so much that if you're not 100% in, then I got to get up.
That's it. That was it. It was like, you deserve 100% of me. I deserve to be in a relationship where I'm 100% there. Totally. And I don't know what it is, but it's just not there. And this is the...
Oh, brother, that sings to me.
Yeah?
It's just, it's so courageous.
Thank you.
It really is. And there are massive themes that Ryan and I speak about on this podcast, and building courage is one of the main things, and it's having the courage to say the words that need to be said sometimes. And for you to have gone into yourself to feel that, like, what's the missing link? It's like, I'm not 100% in there, and now I've got to do something about it. I can't string this along, because that's just choosing the misery over certainty.
Yes, yeah. And it was amazing, because I've lacked a lot of self-worth, and it's manifested in the way that when someone else seems to be certain on something, I'm like, that's the truth then, because I don't know. I was in my past relationship, there was this big betrayal, and it just, for whatever reason, it didn't do anything to me. My self-worth went because of how I reacted to that. And I just hadn't been able to pick it back up. And then this thing I was certain on, and when I told her, I was like, I'm clear on this, and I'm not going to string you along for a second. And she was fucking furious, man. She's a fiery bitch. She's like so strong, bro. And she just looked at me. She's also way younger than me. It's crazy, the wisdom. She looks at me and she goes, it's a bit fucking late for that. And I went, no, it's not, because I didn't know, and now I know. So I'm not fucking with you. And I've never spoken like that, and especially not to a woman. I was like, oh, that's a bad thing to do. No, it's not. She's strong enough to hear that.
Well, you were just courageous enough to speak your truth. And being a man in your more masculine essence, do you think she's going to trust you more or less after this? Do you think she's going to trust men more or less after this?
I think the men she trusts, she will trust more. I think she'll know who to trust,
Yeah, like at the time, there's always going to be emotion. And there's going to be there's going to be jarringness, because it's like, for her, it probably came out of the blue. It's like, what's this? Okay, well, here's my truth. So there's going to be the range of emotions of anger and hatred and whatever. But how there's no gray area when you're speaking your truth.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah,
because there is just your truth, and you're not trying to manipulate a future based off trying to get your own way with something. It's just like, well, here's my truth. I'm laying myself upon the altar, metaphorically. To go, here's my barren truth. I know it's going to hurt you, but what other option is there? you know?
Yeah. And that was it, eh? It's like the other option is like me lying to myself and lying to you, and it's awful. And
It gets nowhere.
Yeah, it does.
It turns into that horrible attachment, icky, yucky, walking on eggshells, pitted tit for tat bullshit. You know, it's horrible.
Yeah. So 2 crazy things. One, after the tears and we're talking, she just sits there and she goes, I knew. And I was like, tell me about that. And she said, last night about 11 p.m. I just burst into tears. I didn't know why.
Wow.
And I was like, yeah, man. And then a few days later, this is real sad. Her cat died, a young cat. So I got hit by a car like 4 days after we broke up. I saw it on her Instagram and I was like, oh, fuck, man. I deserve that shit. That's a hard week. So I sent her a text like, hey, if you want space, like just like delete this text, see you later, all good. But if you want to chat, your fucking cat died. So,
yeah, for sure.
And we got lots of memories.
You're not an asshole, bro.
Yeah.
You know, like there was love there. There still is. It's not like you ended it because of a betrayal or something like that. It was actually like, hey, I'm just being truth to myself. I'm doing enough work on myself now to understand about what you deserve, what I deserve, what I want.
Yeah.
And what I'm feeling isn't the full core of being that I know and that I want as well.
Yeah.
And that's okay, brother. And that's the dance of relationship.
Yeah,
you know?
man.
It's the dance. You learn, and there'll be an aspect of that relationship with her. You'll go, oh, that's what I want. There's a part of that. I felt that. I feel that, and then you just store that away in your nervous system, and you go, that I'm piecing together the relationship. You know, well, this is my own experience, anyways.
That's a cool lens, man.
If you go from the very first episode of this podcast right through to the top, there's various relationships I've been in. I've been on the chase and the journey, and so what I've come to it is, and being in an amazing relationship now of like, just she's just incredible. I learned and took my lessons through each relationship.
Yeah.
Of going, that's what I want, that's what I don't want. When I ended them, I was like, I'm courageous enough to end this because I know it's not the full spectrum of what I want, but yet there are still aspects of that I really, really like, and I felt that. Some I felt more, some I got different lessons through different modalities, but this is my own philosophy on it is, I learned and I took, and I learned and I took, and I learned and I took, and I pieced it all together through a relationship philosophy that I know that I wanted, and it was a deep feeling, and when it showed up I was like, there it is.
Yeah, right.
You know? And it doesn't make, you know, even if it was a 3 dates with someone, even 1 date with someone, it didn't matter. Yeah. It didn't lessen any of it because of the length of time. It just meant that, beautiful. That was the path, that was the journey that was put before me in that. And each time when I knew that it wasn't it, I built more courage to have to go, hey, I need to speak my truth here, and this isn't it for me, you know?
Man. Yeah. Oh man. That rings true with me right now, man. Because in the whole Christchurch journey was so cool. When her cat died, I called her. Well, I sent her a text and she was like, if you want to call, I said, of course I fucking want to call you. Like, let's talk. And we talked about her cat and it was pretty shitty. And then she goes, you were right to end it. I was so attached to you and it was really unhealthy and I couldn't see it.
Beautiful.
I was like, whoa, man.
So there's a perfect example of you just speaking your truth is mirroring back some things she's now seen of herself.
Yeah. Yeah, it's always the way, is what I'm like. It's not tell the truth about everything you fucking see all the time and just go, you know, like, but when it's important, one thing I learned down south, I was like, man, there's a line in Frozen 2 that's the dad in Frozen 2 is like, shit's going down and he's like, someone's like, what do we do? And the dad in Frozen 2 goes, the next right thing. I'm like, fuck, you know what? Actually, yeah. And I phrase it a little bit differently. I'm like, the most important thing. I'm like, what's the most important thing? For quite a while, I've been trying to manifest abundance. But I'll manifest abundance, right? Abundance. And then I realized, I was like, why isn't the money coming in? I was like, well, it's because my parents have 2 houses mortgage free and they're just going to give them to me and my brother. I'm abundant as fuck. What is not abundant in my life? And it's this relationship thing and this real difficulty that I've had with relationships. And I've been doing the abundance meditations and also my career, my comfortability and trusting that that'll take its time and that I'm on the path. And it just clicked. I was like, oh man, you'll manifest the abundance that you need, not that you want, you know?
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Just get out of your own way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you are already abundant.
Yeah. How do you mean?
We're all abundant. It's constant abundance. It's flowing. It's just whether or not how much you trust yourself to let it in.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Comes from surprising. That's the interesting thing. You offered me an opportunity with Beta.
Yeah.
And I've been really going, I know there's a shift coming up in what I'm doing with myself. I don't quite know what it is. But I didn't let myself jump to, I'll be traveling around a bit. I want to be traveling around a bit and earning a bit more money. So I was like, what could it be? And I've learned enough now that I went, no, I just don't get to think what it could be.
Yeah, that's it. Because our mind will limit even our dreams. It's like,
yeah, man,
you've got to get the mind out of the way because it can be so much more.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, it's like
the
mind will make it so much less than what it could be because where things come from, we have no idea.
Yeah,
you
man.
know, as long as you're just taking the actionable steps, because you know, manifesting without action is doesn't work.
I'm 100%.
It's like trying to shoot a gun with no bullet.
Dude, I've been on this for so long. People will come to me and be like, Chris, manifestation shit's like bullshit. I'm like, no, it's not, man. No, it's not. If you sit there and meditate every day and you go like, this, I believe in this for myself. I know the feeling of abundance. I know this, I know that. And then you get up and you walk with it. You physically put yourself in different places. Like you talk, for me, like I talk to everyone. Not like random strangers I've talked to and shit just pops up in conversation. It's like, that's not some crazy thing. It's me changing my behavior and being in different places and being here for dinner with you instead of being a little fucking feel sorry for myself hermit crab man, you know? Like I was a little while ago.
Both are okay as well. That's one thing that's really helped me is I have such a hermit mode that I need to be in to...
Yeah, okay, that's true.
To
that's good.
Like regenerate myself, my energy and things like that. But also I'm getting to the point where I'm catching myself when it's becoming laziness now. And I'm like, hold on. There's that. These little things have crept back in. These are the signs. So I'm just getting faster at creating that and seeing that. So I can be like, okay, what is it? Is it actual rest? Or is it just me now falling into this trap of comfortability and laziness?
Yeah, I was there today. Interestingly, coming here, I was like, I'm so glad I have this tonight because I was like, I'll just kind of sleep in a little bit and I'll just kind of not do my practices because I'm tired and this and that. And then I was not in my body all day and I was kind of like, why am I not in my body? And yeah, it just clicked. I was like, maybe a little nap is nice. Maybe a little, it's like get outside, like clean your room, like come on, like, you know, do your breath work, do your morning practices because you feel good when you do them. They're not a chore. They help you feel better. You're good for it. So
that's it.
Yeah, that's a cool thing we have in common, eh?
Yeah,
Clocking
man.
That.
Tell me about this. Tell me about your creative process. I love talking about and having others share about their creative process with their art and all of that. So you've just created this children's show about how to play in team sports and things like take me through that journey, man, of inception, because it's a pretty strong theme as well. Like how did that come to part? Like what's your creative process to create something?
Okay, well that one was from the mind of a director that I worked with. It might be more useful for me to talk about my solo show.
Your solo show,
yeah.
Correct.
So
yes.
I've done two. I've done this one solo show that I created. It's called Nepal. And this kids show was a gig. I was in collaboration with people.
Okay, cool, yeah.
So my creative process, it's an hour-long show. It's fucking awesome. It's about a kid who's finishing high school and he doesn't know where to go and he ends up going on a massive adventure. The way it started though was I was just graduated from uni and I was like, man, I don't want to stop doing stuff because I'll just stagnate and forget how to do all this craft that I've learned. So I just was like in the lounge one day going like, what would be interesting and what kind of theater can I make without using too much stuff was the question. And it was pretty obvious. It was like, okay, so I'm going to get the audience to imagine things. And I always make in my body. I always kind of like just play around in the lounge, be like, that's funny. I'll put them together. And what would be an easy place to imagine? A classroom, that's easy to imagine. I can pretend to be the teacher and the kid and whatnot. And it just kind of snowballed like that. And this tends to be my story writing creative process is I'll get excited about a few things, and then I'll kind of piece them together. I'm like, yeah, sick. And then it'll balloon up into this big thing, and there's a massive mystery in the middle of it. I'm writing a movie about pirates at the moment, and we're like, oh yeah, I know the world, I know the feeling, I know the main character. And then he's got this ramp, and it's really exciting. And then all this shit happens, like literally my story outline right now is like specifics, and then it says a lot of shit happens, and then the ending that's really mean.
Cool.
And I'm like, and it's the same with the theater show, and it's because I don't know enough. Like I wrote this, or I was making it, on the floor in my body, and I did this whole bit where he's like on the plane, and he gets off the plane, and he gets to the airport, and he walks out the doors of the airport, and my imagination eyes were just like, I don't know a fucking thing about Nepal. And it's just like, oh shit, what am I gonna do? And then I was working with a person, and then she said, my friend is from Nepal. And then we teed it up, and I learned a bunch of stuff. And then I started kind of making from there. So it's always joy. Like, that's the thing in the theater that I'm like, and in film and things like that as well. I'm like, it's always joy, and it's always comedy. And I grew up watching, like, Jim Carrey was a favorite. I was like, this guy is just, like, in his body, just doing the craziest stuff. Seems to be able to get along with anyone he wants to. There's nothing was off limits for him, I was like, and it's just because he goes to joy. He always goes to joy. And I was like,
it's interesting seeing him now, being in his journey, and then really seeing him in the such dissolution of his own ego and self, and really seeing and like, I can keep up with what he's saying. But I remember when he first started saying things before my journey, I was like, man, this is a crazy guy. Now I'm like, holy shit, I fucking understand everything Jim Carrey's saying now. Like,
so how enlightened are you, bro? Do you understand the shit Jim Carrey talks about?
Yeah.
That's fun, man. Yeah, it is interesting, eh?
How do you embody a new character? Like, what's your process with that? Like, do you think about how you would do it, or do you think about how like the character would do it, and then start to create that? Like, what's your acting process when you're starting to create a new character within you? Well,
when I've been making stuff, I just go to what I know first. So when I was making this solo show, I just kind of was like, there needs to be a kid, and he's kind of like a back of the class kid. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I know the back of the class kids. Matthew McConaughey talks about this quite a lot. Mm-hmm. He just goes like, reads a script and go like, I know a guy like this, and that's how he does his thing. And I think that's like a really fun, really organic way to do it. I just go, I know this kid, and then from there I can kind of flesh it out and be like, I kind of constantly investigate. It's like, would this kid react like this? Would this character react like this? Or am I kind of just having fun, with pretending? Or am I really going like, no, this is a person? And you got to ask that question at some point. But it's got to start with me being like, I know this guy. That's fun to be this guy.
Do you think you can play with like characters in yourself in life like that?
How do you mean?
Like, we were talking about before, it's like a work character. What does your work character look like? And you're like, I'm done with that now.
Yeah.
Like, because it's super interesting, man. And again, like, Jim Carrey's a great example. Like, if you listen to some of his stuff, and it's all about characters, and he talks about, depression is your character is tired of being itself now, and it's like it wants to open out. Like, I think the deeper I've gone, and especially talking about, because you're an educated, studied actor, and you went to university and like really mastering the craft. There's the further I'm going into my own self and processing things, and really moving more into vulnerability and all that sort of stuff. I mean, for me, that's acting 101, isn't it? It's the vulnerability to be seen and heard, and all these things in different characters. Like, what's the crossover of doing it within your own life? Because is there any difference of you sitting here as who you think you are versus like Jim, who's going to be a back of the class kid? Like,
I think the only crossover is I'm really aware when I'm putting on a front. I'm really, really aware.
What does that look like?
What it looks like is when I'm kind of a little bit unsure of something, or if I've got some like big emotional stuff that I haven't worked through yet, I work through my shit as soon as it's there, man. And it's kind of jarring for some people. It's like, where did this come from? And it's like, I'm just grieving my friend who died last year. And like, why? It's like, oh, I went to the car park that I last saw him in today. Like, well, how does it, what, you know, where'd it come from? It's like, hey man, it just came up and here it is. When I'm not around people that know me, it can be difficult for me to like, to just do that and let it all come through. And then I don't know how to be.
Where do you think the limitations come in those moments with the people who don't know you versus the people you do know you? Is it a safety aspect or is it a judgment aspect?
It's a little bit of both. The biggest thing though is I don't know sometimes what's coming up, and so going like, I don't feel that good and I don't know why. People that I don't know very well, you know, it's kind of like I don't trust myself to be able to hold that, be able to kind of move with that, and then kind of carry on with my day if no one's there to go like, oh, I see you and I can help out a little bit. And yeah, I think that's the biggest thing is going like, I don't know what it is, but I'm getting better at it. I'm like clocking it now and being like, I don't have to know what it is.
Beautiful.
That's all good. And I can like rest, and these really resting into abundance and actually exercising more of my emotionality in this new acting class that I'm doing. Man, I had the fucking coolest moment of my acting journey in quite a while, like 2 days ago. I was at this acting class and we work with emotions. We work completely differently. It's like not psychological acting. I'll demonstrate it because it's fucking cool.
Cool.
There are different centers in the body that we talk about, kind of 6 different emotions or emotional patterns coming from. And there's the heart, the liver, the small intestine, the stomach, the genitals. And aggression, we just imagine the liver going forwards, and I'll demo it, and I'll kind of demo it out here so the camera can kind of see it. Aggression is all I got to think about is the liver going forwards, and then I can feel my face start to kind of twist up into a mask, and we can study the mask of it and get really good at going into aggression, and the voice picks up on it and the whole body does, and the eyebrows come down, and you know, and it's just physical, and my body can tingle and stuff, and sometimes I need to have a shake afterwards to go like, So I was paired up with this girl, Laura. She's like, I don't know, 18 maybe, weighs about 45 kilos. And we're paired up doing this mostly aggression and a bit of lust. And the goal was, we're just going to face off. And our 2 emotional patterns are basically going to go at each other. We're not going to try kill each other. The whole thing is like, can your emotional pattern kind of can pierce the other person's one? Can I win like that? Can I be strong enough in my emotional self to just kind of like overcome this other person? And the rest of the class was kind of fucking around. They were kind of tired and I was kind of tired, but I was like, man, I'm really not here to fuck around. And I get a bit serious sometimes, you know, and because I'm just not. I'm like, nah, man, I'm here to
fucking learn.
Yeah, I want to
do.
That's it.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to do if we're just kind of pissing about. And they were having a lot of fun, and it was great for them. And it came to my turn, and I stepped up to Laura, and the rest of the group's kind of watching us. And I go up to Laura, and I just kicked off immediately, like full into the emotion, as high a level of it as I could muster. And I looked at her, and you can say whatever you want. So I looked at her and I just said, come on, really intensely. And she like clocked that I was not fucking around. And she like rose up into herself and hit me right back with the same level. And then we just climbed and climbed and climbed. And I was screaming at her in this like, I started growling, screaming at her in this like guttural voice, like, you're fucking nothing. And she was just screaming me, throwing herself at me. And I was completely in control. Like psychologically, I was like, this is all good. I'm physically safe. I know she's physically safe. Took about maybe 30 seconds of just the most intense thing you can ever see. And then we stopped, right? And this girl, there you go. And this, yeah. So we stopped doing this. The teacher kind of says, okay, stop. There's another group going over the other side of the room. We stop. And then this girl kind of like steps back, and then we kind of chill out. She looks at me and goes, are you okay? 45 kilos, about 18 years old. She asked me if I was okay, right? We had a big hug. It felt lovely. Then we chilled out. We looked around at this group, and they were shocked. Like they weren't quite on the level because they had been pissing around, so they weren't ready for it. But they were just like, this guy said, it looked like you were going to kill her. And I was like, oh, thanks, man. And he was like, what? Like, and then I talked to the teacher and he was like, no, that was fucking distressing to watch, man. Like, that was really distressing.
Good.
Yes.
Fucking good.
Yes. And it was amazing. Like, for me as a man to trust myself, and I really think this is because of all this work I've done on the relationships that I've, to trust myself to go, I'm not going to hurt her. I can go 100% because I trust myself, also because I trust her, because I know that what's in me is in everyone. Like, that's the belief that I have from doing all the acting stuff. Everyone's got all these emotions. To the, like, I said this, I think, when we first met at the breathwork workshop. I was like, life is not casual, man. Like, we like all these superhero stories and stuff because it's like end of the world stakes. It's like our bodies understand end of the world stakes. It's like, if you don't think that's true, like, lose a parent or lose a kid. It's like, that is, the depth of your feeling it and your power is just like, you can't imagine it. The doing of it is so liberating. So liberating. And for this 18-year-old girl, like, God, I wish more 18-year-old girls could just absolutely go fucking berserk at a man. To really feel their power and then to ask him if he's okay afterwards. God, man, I want to live in a world with those people.
But that's the safety that you brought to that scene,
Yeah, thank you.
I've done a lot of training with a good friend of mine called Atlas Talisman, and he speaks.
Oh, you guys are friends? Yeah, Ryan.
So Ryan's done some training with him as well, and so he's got a concept called open world theatre, and he's formerly trained as an actor and clowning and all his other stuff that he's brought together, and he's literally just out. He was at Burning Man. He's out in the streets in America doing dope things.
Wow.
So what you're saying here, I totally understand, because he was here about 2 months ago, and we did a deep immersive weekend with him, and it's builds up to getting into that scene work. Where you're all being witnessed, because I think the witnessing is a big part of it as well.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
When you're stepping on the stage and you're doing a scene work with a partner, just like you were describing, there's two folds here. It's you who's in the scene to be able to build it up and get into that aliveness of not trying to follow a pursuit where your mind is going to take you, but purely be in the moment and allow whatever comes to come without any sense of judgment or this is wrong, this is right, I'm doing this right, I'm doing this wrong, but taking it as very seriously as you possibly can, because then in the second lot of it is being witnessed. So the people who are doing the witnessing are now being moved by the pure authenticity and aliveness of what's going on in that scene. And then you're also feeling the witnessing of being purely open and vulnerable within your emotional states and creating more emotional states with whatever context you're working within the scene. And I think it's such an empowering way to start to feel emotion, to start to feel vulnerability in the heat of things, to really not try and take something anywhere, but just be there in it. So as you were saying, like rising up, like allowing that anger to build without putting an identity on it. It's a safe aspect in an environment you've created with this, as you say, this 18-year-old woman. But there's also an underlying essence to it all of safety, right? And that's the energy you're projecting. You projected a nice solid, and I can only assume because she was right in there with you and your scene was going, she was projecting an essence of I can take this, I'm safe. You're projecting an essence of I'm safe, I can take this, and look where you got. You had the teacher going, that was distressing to watch, and you go, fucking A, good.
Yeah. It was amazing, dude. Having my classmates saying I had to stop myself from stepping between you two because it looked so real. It really looked like you were on the edge of killing each other. I was like, I mean, man, how much better can you get? Like, that is something.
Good.
Oh, man. And as you were saying that, it really hit me that the skill of being really alive in a scene with someone and not trying to take it anywhere and not letting your mind go, and it could go here. It's like, brain, I love you, but you don't know where this could go. And your idea of it, I had to teach myself this a lot, is like, my idea of something is going to be nowhere near as awesome as the reality of it. Because the reality of it's going to involve another person. And if I'm really listening, it's going to be surprising and amazing. And jumping a little bit, but when I got back from Christchurch, I'd done a lot of work on myself. I'd grieved some people. My mum came down for her birthday. I was grieving for my mum because she's quite old. And I was like, but am I doing the best with that relationship? Yes, I'm doing the best with that relationship. And then she came down and just loved on her the whole time. And it was beautiful. I reconnected with the old ex where there was that betrayal. Did healing there. Really, genuinely didn't try to do healing. Just went, I'm going to follow my heart, talk to this girl. Got this healing. And I left back here going like, fuck, man.
Forgiveness is an anchor. You can just let go, bro.
Yeah.
It's the scissors to chop the anchor off and seek forgiveness, eh? Because it's not forgiving the person's actions. It's just forgiving. No. It's forgiving it to release it from yourself.
Yeah.
It's like, why do I need to carry these boulders around?
Yeah.
I'm doing it. It's me.
Yeah. Yeah, man. It's really hard to get your head around. It's fucking hard because you can't get your head around it. I think you got to get your body around it, and the body just goes, "Oh, I understand that." I got to keep reminding it. It's like, "Oh, we let go, man. We can just let go."
Yeah.
I got back to Auckland, and I was gonna the girl that I'd just broken up with before going down to Christchurch. I was gonna catch up with her in a while because she was like, I'd like to catch up to make sure that you're kind of set on this, because I'd been a little bit back and forth. So she's like, I want to know I can trust your word, and so I want to catch up to. And I was like, yeah, respect for sure. So, and we were gonna wait a couple weeks, and I was like, on my way back, I was like super clear. I was like, I'm just gonna hit her up right now. Like if she doesn't want to catch up, she'll say no. So I hit her up, and she was like, yeah, we'll do this weekend. And then I got home, started cleaning out my shit, and there's this one door in my house that opens with this one key that I think she had, and I was like, fuck, actually, do you have that key? She was like, yeah, I'm actually not at work. I could come over and give it to you. And I was like, well, if you come over, we're gonna chat, because of course we are. And then she comes over, we sit down, and how's the last month been? We kind of recap. We've had exactly the same month in different places. She's like, lots of working on stuff on my own, realizing that I just wasn't focused on other shit. I was too focused on this relationship, and she got a promotion, like all this stuff.
Beautiful.
Really beautiful. And I was alive in that. That's why I bring it up. I was really alive in that, to going, I got no fucking idea what this chat is going to be, but I got to be alive to it, and I've got to listen. And we ended that chat like, we mean a lot to each other. And coming into ourselves more, we actually mean a bit more to each other. So settle down, but kind of see you in a month for a little check-in.
Oh yeah,
it's beautiful, man. Oh, yeah. I'm just
isn't taking truth for a ride a fucking dance, man?
And I'm not. So I haven't told any of these people that are all around me all the time, because I'm just like, I'm done explaining this shit to you fucking guys, man.
Because it's just, this is your life, man, and you are just stepping into it, bro. I love it. I see a lot of myself in you, man. Like, thanks, just the way that you're articulating things are things that I've worked out, and I'm like, cool. This is the way to live. It's gotta be. It's you, like, a lot of people, are like, oh, Mike, you're quite jarring, and I'm quite a jarring person. For a lot of people, I trigger a lot of people just in the way that I am, but that's just me, just like wholeheartedly just walking my own path. Yes, I am getting better at my delivery and all that, and softening my heart and all of that, and I've really done a lot of work on that. But when it comes down to the point of the fact of having, saying the things that need to be said, I will, and I don't explain myself. It's not what I do. I raise my flag the way that I do to live my life, and the ones that are attracted to it are fucking my people. Yeah. And the ones that aren't, I'm like, that's great. I send you with love. Like, that's all good. Because, and especially after coming off this Married at First Sight saga and all of that, and post all of that, just watching all of that play out in the media and you being out in public and all the things, how so many people have these opinions on how you should live and be and look and do and all the things. It's like, those opinions and judgments will always be there, so do what the fuck you want to do anyways, regardless of it, because the only thing that stops us from doing the things is ourselves.
Yes. I want to say to that the biggest piece of learning that I've done is over the past kind of year is like, I really lost a sense of truly wanting to do something. And
Why do you think you lost it?
I lost it. The way I pieced it together is this relationship that I was in, that ended 4 years ago or something. It was in the middle of my university career. It was a 3-year degree, and university, it was a liberal arts school and full of great people, but the politics is just like all left-wing politics, all liberal.
It's horrible.
Yeah, and I'm like, hey man, we need the left, we need the right. It's the whole thing of democracy. It's great, but it was all the left.
Yeah.
And there was this. It was a very morally grey kind of circle for me to be in, and my friends were really good, but I was also deep into Taoism at the time, and I was like, let go. And so I was like hurting so deep, and this girl was like fucking around for okay, full disclosure, if she ever sees this, she is fantastic, you know, and like I love her deeply, but like, man, what a ride she went on, you know. And that hurt so much, and I was like, but it's okay because I'm like water and I can let go. And now reflecting on, I'm like, yeah, you're like water, and the water was fucking mad, and you need to be mad, bro.
Yeah.
So I let myself kind of really get hurt in that. And then at university, there was lots of like, me and I understand the reasons, but me and the other straight white guys in my class, it was kind of like, y'all need to be a little bit quieter and learn to listen a bit. That was true. Like, that's fucking true, man. We did. But I stopped valuing my voice, and I stopped feeling my voice get valued.
Well, because anything you would say, you're a bigot, right? In that realm of extreme leftism in the education system. You know, you see Jordan Peterson talk about it all the time. You just see what's getting spat out in the world now.
It's crazy.
Total avoidance of shadow.
Yes. Yeah. Well, that's the thing, right? That's the thing. And it was interesting. It wasn't fully like that, and no one was doing anything to me. It's just that there wasn't an open space for me to like put a flag up and be like, fuck yeah, and have all the boys be like, fuck yeah.
You would have been shot down and pulled down.
Yeah, it would have been like, I don't know if this is okay here. It's like, my God, man, like, it's just how I feel happy. And I knew it, you know, I'm a fucking good guy. I'm not out here like harming people. So that was kind of it was this betrayal in the way I dealt with that, and then kind of never picking it back up because the university wasn't picking up what I was putting down. And then I got out of university and just kind of like, whatever had happened psychologically, I just wasn't getting any positive feedback that much. And I didn't get into some work that really held me, and kind of got a bit lost. And then this relationship with the girl I was just talking about, the recent relationship, that's the thing that showed me. She was like, it was simple shit, man. Like, she was like, do you want to fucking watch some cartoons? Or do you want to have like, I don't know, so like baked beans on toast? I was like, yo, I fucking love baked beans on toast. And not like eating that healthy shit that is great. And I was like, hold on, I love baked beans on toast. What else do I love? It's like, I love having sex, man. And I love having not mindful sex. I love mindful sex. And like, the more mindful sex, the better. But like,
there's a place and a time for all sex, bro.
That's right? You know? And I was like, damn, I love this like dirty dog shit every now and then. And that was like, oh, that's right. This is who I am.
There's a big essence, man. I really found a much deeper of my own masculine essence when I started really just going down my own deeper sexuality and what I like, what I want, you know, and discovering and trying new things. I really found like it opened up a big part of me, because I was like, oh yeah, there's a dance and that, and then in the BDSM play and all of that stuff that I really go into now with my partner and all of that. There's the dominant submissive, you know, play that we go into. It's like, oh, man, like some of the impact play we go into, it's like you need to be so present and watching their body and listening to their breath and you know. And so there's a big part of like my own journey that has now come out of my sexual awakening of my own masculinity, my leadership and all of that, and listening and all the good things, man.
Yeah, cool. Okay, that's really heartening to hear, because I'm like, I'm still on the path of that, and prior to meeting this girl Natalie, I was like, softness, it's got to be all softness and letting go. And I was like, hold on, but I'm not all softness and letting go. And she doesn't want me to be all softness and letting fuck no. Like, she loves it sometimes, man. But like sometimes like she wants me to be a fucking boulder, you know? 100%. Like, and it's great and it's so healthy and it's all the expressions, and that was the thing that started waking me up to like, what do I want? What am I doing? What the fuck am I doing?
Love it.
Yeah.
I think, man, just listening to here, I think just my read on it and my play on it is, you just lost trust in yourself, and you are just
Yeah.
really, really dosing yourself up with trust daily.
Yeah.
And look at just how amazing that it's
man.
it's strengthening you in your own self-trust.
Yeah, and this is really amazing timing, as things like kind of tend to be. But today was like, I was like, as we were doing our breath, we did some breath work before the podcast. I didn't trust myself today. That's what it was. I started not trusting myself. I started going, where am I at? What am I doing? What was I? It's too in my head, not in my body, not doing the things that really help me feel good. And that was it. It was like, I stopped trusting myself. But things are actually fucking clear for me at the moment. Like, you never know the next step is the thing that I'm still getting my head around. Is like, I can be clear and wide open, but I'm clear on where I want to go. And if I hit a wall or if I hit a big no, I can either go yes. And if they go no again, it's like, all right, sweet, crack on. That's not the place that this need's going to get fulfilled or, that this light's going to shine. And good. I don't want my light to shine at a wall. My light to shine at a fucking...
We've got an amazing good friend of mine and Ryan's, and he's our business consultant as well. And he's just one of those guys that's just so tapped in, intelligent, epic, sees things from such many different angles. Love him dearly. And a piece of advice he dropped into us very early on, and it's just, in its simplicity, has helped us so much. And he's like, you either pivot or you persevere. There's two things.
Right.
Pivot or persevere.
Wow, man.
It's like, are you gonna persevere with this thing, or are you gonna pivot from this thing?
Right.
And so many different decisions within our business, and even in my life, I'm like, do I pivot with this, or do I persevere with this? Great, because both are an option.
Yeah.
And if you're gonna persevere, it's like, okay, well, I ground in and I keep going. It's like, it's okay, until a point where I'm like, I can't persevere with this anymore. I've got to pivot.
Yeah.
And now I've got to take a different path, and I've got to like work out what that is, or allow it to be illuminated. And so it's sometimes those pieces of just such simple, just simple philosophy, can really just jam in to your subconscious. And every now and then you're like, do I pivot or persevere here?
Yeah.
And that's really helped, Beta kind of move along quite quick too. And even in just some relationships and things, do I persevere in this? No. And that's my decision,
Yeah, right. That's what I was doing, hey. I was going, in this relationship over the past year, I was going, I'm going to persevere.
Yeah.
Because I see, and it was this thing that I was talking about of like, the most important thing is like, the most important thing is this woman might be the rest of my life, and that's a good life. Like, I was like, oh man, if I'm blind to something, that was my whole thing. If I'm blind to something, that when I see it, I can deal with it, get it out the way, and then we're locked in, then I'm not, I don't want to run away and leave that chance. You'd leave that,
Oh yeah.
So I'm gonna push through everything I can until I got clear, and I was like, no, I need space, and I fucking know it, and it's like that was the pivot.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's just like
now you're removing right and wrong, good and bad.
Yeah,
it's
right.
Like taking those concepts out, because nothing is inherently bad.
Yeah.
There is a learning, there's a lesson in it.
Yeah.
Good is only something we perceive to be better than bad. So remove the good. Now you can actually go, hey, is it comfortable or uncomfortable?
Yeah.
Do I pivot or do I persevere? Because now then we're kind of not creating a context of better than less than. We're just going, this is too uncomfortable for me. I need to pivot from this. Or no, I'm in this uncomfort right now and I'm learning fucking heaps. Like, I've got to go for that. I've got to search for the uncomfort. Or this is a little too comfortable for me right now. Or this is just enough comfort. And so if you can dissolve those essences of good and bad and just trying to, because then now you're just kind of weaving. I look at it as like I'm the artist of my life, and I'm like, I'm just going to take it this way, or I need to kill this aspect of myself, or I need to change the behavior of this aspect of myself to be this person who can then vibrate at this level to have this reality, Yeah, right. Because it's like the concept of the spoon in the Matrix, right? He's like, don't try and bend the spoon. He's like, bend the reality around the spoon, and that's what we. It's the flip on its head. If you're talking about manifestation abundance, it's like that's where you got to put the frame back onto yourself to go, all right, I want that. Let's just say I want that, $1 million bank account and that house and that type of partnership and this type of spirituality and this and that. It's like, well, what type of man do I need or person do I need to be in order to be able to have and be those things? And then that's the aspect of where the threads take us. That's where our work takes us. Like, oh yeah, okay. Now my awareness is coming. It's like, oh yeah, I run away from relationships. Yeah, that's a pattern I've seen. And I'm just talking about myself here. Okay, yeah, I probably need to stay in them a bit longer, to learn what I need to learn. Yeah, okay, great. Now, all right, what aspect do I need? Okay, I want wealth. I want generational wealth. I want so my family, my daughters and their families, they don't have to fucking worry about it, because now then I can impart wisdom into them and philosophy for them to be able to make bigger ripples into the consciousness of the world. It's like, okay, what type of man do I need to become to do that? It's like, well, I need to create an entrepreneurial spirit and a mindset and daily, and I need to start becoming a little heavier on risk, but I also need to start learning this. So this is where the self-development aspect, now you're self-developing for the point of killing the parts of the self that are holding yourself back, seeing that, but then also creating the behaviors and the habits and the actions in your day to become the person, so your reality starts maneuvering around itself, and that's what starts coming towards you. And that's why you start going, oh, the thing's working out, oh, that's working out, oh, that's perfect timing. And it's like, oh yeah, okay, I just got to keep doing what I'm doing, because that's now leading me to the path. Man, the most amazing thing that I'm alive to at the moment within that whole thing is the whole, and a lot of people, a lot of people want the money, the house and the car and it's a good thing to want, especially thinking about other people, generational stuff. And I was like, the biggest thing that I've been so fascinated about is I'll get really focused on something and be like, I know this feeling. This is the feeling I want. And I want to feel held, and I want to feel safe. I want to feel in a community with people. I want to not be worrying about money. I want to, and there was this real feeling that I got to. And then I had to meet, this is the big thing that I'm awake to. You got to meet reality with that self. And fuck, that's when the surprises happen, man. And it's not just like, I meet reality and here I am with the thing and it was fucking mean. It's like you meet reality and it's like, whoa, okay, now I've got to be back in my fucking, I got to keep the abundance while I'm having this terrifying conversation with a woman I love, or while I'm having this, while I But those are the things that thrust you forward even more, because
but it never feels
now
like
you're not being ankle tied by fear.
Yes. Yeah. That was the thing. That was the thing that came up for me. I hadn't spoken about this before, but it was just like fear. I was doing so much by fear, and I was on the kind of the universe will find the path. But I was doing that out of fear. I was going, I don't get to decide the path. I don't get to do the thing. What if something in the future is right? I'm like, oh man. I never saw it, and it hit me like a brick one day. I was just like, whoa, I've been creating from fear, and that's not creating.
Spiritual bypassing, man, it hits us all. Until we actually start more ownership of our own self. Yeah,
and it's a fucking awesome but jarring process, hey?
Yeah, fucking A, man. And we're afraid of our own power.
100%.
It's like, you want to look at the teachings of Jesus and things like that,
Yeah, man.
His words were saying not be him, but be like him. He just worked out. He's the Son of God. He is God incarnate. He's an immortal. He was out there walking the path of truth. He's out there just walking the path of love. Yeah. He was just going, hey, you don't be led by fear. And he says, let me into your heart. Let God into your heart, and you won't be alone. So if you've got that fear of being alone, you're not alone. Go with the full heart. Get into it.
Man, can I tell you this really cool thing that?
Of course you can.
My name means to carry Christ, and I haven't kind of agonized over it, but I've always been curious. I've always been I just believe that things, if you let them, they line up, and it's like, what? By the end of my life, will I have carried? And Christ for me, I'm not religious, but
let's remove the religious aspect out of it, and let's just talk about love, God, and Jesus.
That's it, eh?
100%.
Yeah, forgiveness, salvation, love. It's what is it to carry that? And I'm really curious, what is it for me to carry it now? In the world that I'm in, where's the biggest need for for love and forgiveness, and there's lots of discourse where there's like this person versus this person and this person, Jordan Peterson destroying journalists for 15 minutes straight, and it was like, fuck, if there was a person in the middle of that conversation, they can go like, hey, let's not be dickheads about this. Like, oh, is that something I could carry, or is it going to be in performance, or where's it going to be? But I can't visualize it, and I don't want to. Like, you know?
Yeah. It's I've really, what are we now? Probably like the last 2 weeks, I've really had a real awakening to God and a real awakening to Jesus. It's been a really interesting 2 weeks, and not in the religious aspect, as you know, things like that, but just this overall sense of like coming into God, coming into Jesus. And it all started with a dream 2 weekends ago. It was Saturday night.
Wow.
And I had this most vivid dream. And the dream was, I was met by Jesus, and I was met by God, and I could feel it in my dream. And he was walking me around, and he showed me this picture of the 12 apostles, and the message was that they aren't from this earth. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. And then we got onto this plane, and then he took me through this portal, and then he was taking me over all these different ancient sites. Over through, it was like desert and all these ancient sites, and we ended up at one of them. And I don't know if you've done the Tongariro Crossing. Have you done Tongariro Crossing before? Anyway, so in Tongariro Crossing, there's these really beautiful pools of natural water, and then over one of these sites, we were there, and there were lots of people around this pool, and there was this one pool, and he said to me, he goes, "You can go and swim," and he said, "This is the pool of creation, but only you can go and swim in there right now." And I was like, what? So I got into this pool of creation. I was swimming around, and I came up, and then I was up, and he was just walking, and I could just feel like it was just like, right at this point of the dream, I was like, I should write about this right now so I don't forget it. And then I was like, nah, stay in the dream, because this is pretty powerful. You're going to remember this. So I was like in the dream lucid as well. It was really, really trippy. This is when I was down in Wellington last weekend, actually. And so we're walking, and then he just says to me, he's like, I want you to read the Bible, and I want you to read the Quran. And he goes, and there's everything you need to know is in the Bible. I said, oh, wow. Beautiful. Okay. And there was some other different visions and things like that. And I got up, and I was like, wow, it was a vivid dream. It was one of those dreams. And then that morning, I went to the expo, and I was sharing about it. So I told my partner all about it. She was right next to me, and she was like, wow, that's super powerful. And so I actually wrote about it afterwards in the morning. And then there's been a series of events, of things that have been going on the last 2 weeks, every single day, that have visited me, or there's been a person speaking about it, or like my friend showed up here the other day with a Bible for me. Like,
you hadn't communicated with him about it?
I told him about it, and he showed up. He's like, I brought this for you. And I was like,
man.
Wow. So it's been a really interesting, just like opening of being, wow, okay, well that's happened. And it's like, this is the first time I've publicly spoken about it, because I'm just kind of just been in my process with it and just feeling it. But I feel like it's like we're coming into this realm of like, you got to choose the side now, you know? It's really interesting, man.
That's really cool, man.
So it's nothing I'm trying to overanalyze or work out, and I'm feeling very comfortable to share it. But
cool, man.
It's it feels very important.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, shit. It feels very important, and it feels very warm. Like even this morning, I was doing my morning practices, did my meditation, and did my breath work, and then I just, next to my bed, I've got like this beautiful little altar with like a picture of my daughter and a few other things on there. It's really nice. And then I just dropped into some prayer, and then I just cried, man. I cried for like 20 minutes this morning. It was really, I haven't had a good cry like that in a long time. Wow. And because last night I had a dream about my daughter, and she was there, and I just was just praying for her and blessing and for her mum as well, actually. And then the tears came, and just like, you know, that's how I started my day this morning. So it was pretty powerful.
That's beautiful, man. That's beautiful.
So so like that, I've just taken it down the path, but so yeah, I still don't really know what I'm going to do with it or anything like that, but it feels important and it feels great, and it hasn't changed me in any way and anything like that, but just feels nice to be transversing new levels and new things and being open to it, and it feels good. Yeah.
That's amazing, man. I've woken up to the stories in the Bible. Like, that book wouldn't have survived so long if there was nothing to it.
Well, there's 62 books written over 1,500 years.
Yeah.
For the stories to have such links in them over the course of 1,500 years, and it's like, we can't dismiss it. You know, like I
used to when I was younger.
Same here, man. I didn't grow up with any God or religion or Jesus in our house, but they weren't. No one was against it, you know.
Same.
But it was just, it was there, but I just remember, like, even we had Bible in schools and things like that. Back in, I'm a bit older than you, so even our public school, we still had someone come in once a week and sing us Bible songs and things like that, and all of that. But even then, it never like jumped at me, and never enthused me or anything like that. But I think because of like lots of early on in my life, with my brother dying and death, I associated church with death and and grieving and all that sorts of stuff. So I was just kind of, I did poo-poo it as well. I was like, what are you talking about? What's that? But now I'm coming into this, and I'm starting to read some of the stories, and I'm starting to listen to like people like Jordan Peterson and all these other people, Paggio and stuff, like really like talk about the stories as stories of creation, and it's like not looking at it as a historical document, and actually like pulling apart the stories and how amazing and creative and some of these stories are that are only 3 fucking sentences, and there's so much in it, and it's like, and so I guess I'm just at this point now where I'm like, all right, it's nothing to be dismissed. It's this long, it has this much influence over people, and if you start listening to podcasts about people all about near-death experiences and things like that from all walks of life, they all have very similar stories about like floating above the body, seeing, whether they go to, whether it's like, I don't sit here and think that God is this person sitting on a throne above the clouds. God is everywhere. It's the essence of life. It's all within us, and Jesus is the human, the aspect we can see is an incarnate of God, and like, that represents God.
Yes.
So it's the Son and God at the same time. That's kind of how I'm seeing it, but yet still a man who, still got into trouble, who just was a raucous, he was just a bit of a misfit too, and this is from just some of the stories that I've been reading, but his words are like the words, you could call them like look at Tony Robbins or someone like that. They're preaching the same things, on a world scale of love and abundance and and like truth and openness and honesty and all these things, but so it's kind of like a new little dart.
It is so cool to see you so fired up about this, man. Like, it's so cool. That is such a clear direction to just investigate, eh?
Just investigate, man.
Yeah, because who knows? Like, fuck, who knows?
Who knows, man?
You just don't know. Like, anyone that goes, I get real skeptical of people that are like, this is happening and this is exactly what it means. I'm like, good luck with that. I've done that.
Yeah, for sure. Feeble mind likes to take over and be like, I got you.
Just grab it, eh? You grab it and be like, I know what it is. It's like, nah, man, but like, what a cool adventure. I'm like, shit, you're going to learn it. I'll be keen to yarn about it because I listen to all of Jordan Peterson's Bible lectures.
So did I, though. That's actually like, it's super interesting actually seeing my process and journey over the last few years of like, I remember lying on my floor in lockdown, listening to those lectures one after another, and that was like 4 years ago.
Oh wow!
And being like, oh man, like it's the first time I've seen these stories opened up as a story of like, these were Mesopotamian stories. This has happened before. This is our own incarnate of the same stories in our own history and lifetime of the last 1,500 years.
Yeah.
Now, the 1,500 years before that, they had their own stories, but they're all verbal because they didn't potentially have writing. And then the 1,500 years before that were the same, but this is what they've come. And it's just that in our time, it got hijacked by some egotistical power play people who took it all to use it as a control mechanism for for the masses.
Yeah, man. Yeah, there's just such deep wisdom in it, like such deep fucking.
And the hardest part for me right now, even just like really starting to just open and come into this, is parting way of getting that aspect of that controlling religious bullshit out, and then just still being in the essence of God, love, Jesus as the figure.
Yeah.
Essence of his word was just talking about openness, love, honesty, all the beautiful things, and the part of myself that obviously poo-pooed religion and all and lumped that into it on the controlling mechanism that I can see that whatever faith, Christianity, Catholicism, all the things and all the in the name of, and then creating a war, which is interesting. So that's kind of like the parting of my own sea, I guess, to use the pun at the moment. You like that?
That was fucking good. Yeah, man. Oh, what a rich journey. Yeah, man. What a blessing.
For sure, bro. And I look at the people who I look up to, and they've all got some sort of God in their life. They, they've got some higher power above them. Yeah, true. That they are answerable to, or they ask things for. They direct a prayer, or what's a prayer? It's an affirmation. It's whatever you want to call it. They're in just different words. It's just
right.
And it's like there's got to be something in that. That's where I'm at now. I'm like, I look at the people who I want to, not emulate, but I definitely want to like, hey, there's aspects of that person's life that I definitely want to add into mine. There's definitely that person. I'm like, and so I try and look for common themes.
Yeah, nice.
And a common theme is that they've all got some sort of, not religion, but they've got some sort of a higher power above them. Yeah. That they're answerable to.
Yeah. I always think it inspires generosity. Something like that. Going like, there's something above me. Something about going, I'm not the greatest fucking thing on earth. There is something bigger. It just somehow inspires generosity in people, because I don't know what psychologically it does, but it's like all glory to God is an interesting thing, because it's like, no, you played the sports game, you worked really hard for that, but to be like, oh no, there's a force at play that is just so far beyond what I can even start to talk about with words or whatever.
Like a humbling?
Yeah, maybe.
Almost.
Yeah, it's like a real healthy humbling though. I think in New Zealand we've got a fucking weird relationship with humbling shit.
It's a big time, man.
But real healthy humbling of just like, I did that. And like, man, I didn't do it alone. Like all of these people and all of these things. And if that one guy didn't say that one thing to me one time, I wouldn't have picked up that book and done this. It's just like, I can't take credit for everything, but I can take credit for the hard work and doing this thing.
100% for being aware of the signs and taking action on them and seeing them as blessings or abundance or manifestations or whatever it is, and going, oh yeah, my path is illuminated and I am walking the right path that is befitting for my own life. Yeah,
and seeing like serendipities, seeing things line up. It's like when my ex-girlfriend Natalie, the night when she goes, after when I broke up with her, and she went, I knew, because I just burst into tears last night. I was like, that's not a small thing, man. Like there's something going on there that I can't articulate, I can't understand, but I can see it. And it's like, there's something greater than matter. It's not just matter just bumping into each other until it falls apart, man. For sure. Like I think there's something going on here.
Yeah, I feel, for sure. Definitely, man. Brother, I think it's probably a good place to wrap up, eh?
All right, it's perfect.
Man, honestly, I've enjoyed this conversation immensely. Thank you so much for sharing openly about your story, bro. And I know we could be probably sitting for hours on end, man, and just keep nattering away.
Yeah, we'll just keep rolling into dinner. And keep going.
But I think that probably leaves us open for round 2, man.
Thanks, man. Absolutely.
And I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much.
It's a real pleasure. I love I love podcasts. I think they're amazing. I love conversations. I think they're amazing.
It is.
Yeah, a real privilege to be here, man. So thank you.
So how can people connect with you, man?
You can jump on Instagram, Christopher_Allen_Moore, ALANMOORE.
And have you got any shows or anything coming up that people can come and see you?
At the moment, man, I'm wide open. But if anything's coming up, if I'm playing music, if I'm playing gigs or anything like that, it'll be on the Instagram.
Yeah, beautiful.
So
yeah, please come and support the brother, man. He's just full of love and just amazing artistry, and you just want to bring joy to the world.
That's it, man.
We're going to bring the people out for you to bring the joy to.
That's it. I've kept trying to be some big hard man for a long time. It's like I'm only going to get there through love, man. It's that certainty that love brings. So I'm just like wide open. I'll play you music. I'll do theater shows. We'll do it all.
Do you know I used to do musical theater?
Really?
Yeah. My whole family's. So my dad still does plays to this day as his hobby, and my aunt and uncle they still direct performances and theatre shows, and my aunt's a dance teacher, and I think my uncle just picked up another spot in another musical down in Tauranga. They started a kids show, like a New Zealand version of The Wiggles, but they were called Alphabet Soup in the 90s, cool. And they had all these soupsters and things, so that was quite cool. And then just over the years I've done a few shows, stage shows and things like that, so cool. I certainly know and feel and love the buzz of being on stage, and just all of that entwines. It's so much fun.
Thanks, man. Thanks for sharing that. That's nice. It's nice we found each other.
That's it. Hey team, thank you so much for listening, and we'll be back next week with another episode. Share this away. Let's get this into everybody's ear holes. But we do appreciate you listening, so we'll see you next week. Shoo!